full of stats.
Engage Vernon.
I'm your new wingman.
We will win! Because we have...
Welcome to CommLink.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the CommLink Podcast. I'm Stubb and I'm joined by Silvius. How's it going, man?
I'm doing well, Stubb. How are you today?
Doing all right. Happy that we're talking about 322 today. Some patch notes. 322, the last big patch for this year for StarCitizen, currently on the EPTU. And there's a decent amount to talk about here. So before we dive into that, we have been playing the game recently. So thought maybe we would talk about our more recent play sessions involving the one, the only Siege of Orison.
We love it.
It's it's still kind of busted, huh?
A little bit.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, man. Like this is one of those things where the game gets really frustrating for me because the event sounds so cool. Like the idea of being able to play it through completion without, 101 things going wrong, as far as like a bug and performance standpoint goes. It sounds like so much fun to get through, and like we can't either an NPCs falling through a floor, or some ships aren't working, or whatever, right? Something keeps happening, and it's so frustrating because I do want to play that event, but just haven't really been able to properly yet still.
I got very close.
Yeah?
Didn't make it to the admin platform. I made it as far as I've ever made it, for sure. But we tried it that one night when you were on, and we ended up being sent to prison, I think, when the mission ended. And then I ran it again after you logged off with our friend Matt, and it was for the most part just me and him, like 90% of the time. We ran into another group of two. We ran into like one or two randoms, and then right at the very end we had a group of, there was 5 of us, and we were at the Heartmore platform. We got the anti-air turned off and everything. Matt and myself were both in the Ares Starfighters, and the other group of 3 was trying to get in a A2. And for whatever reason, the ships would only, like after a certain point, only go backwards and forwards. So that kind of ended our try at getting to the admin platform. I honestly don't think we would have made it with that small team we had, judging by the amount of turrets that are on the admin platform, but we didn't get to try either way. So
yeah, there's no other game like it, man. The ships are flying backwards.
I will say the overall like game performance on the Siege of Orison platforms are actually playable now. The mission itself, not so much. But there's actually some frames to be had there, and it's not just a slideshow anymore.
Yeah, that was nice that it wasn't a slideshow this time around. So don't get me wrong, it has improved, but still like frustrating. But hey, maybe next year we'll be having a lot more positive things to say about how the event performs. I'm hopeful, at least. So
yeah, maybe
we'll see what happens.
Maybe we'll finish it one day.
Yeah. Because I do wonder, like, how much of it is the server struggling at this point, right? Versus it just being something wrong with the event itself. Like, because in the past it felt like, okay, the servers were just dying, so that's why we can't get through this. But this time around, it didn't feel super laggy. It didn't feel like you were only getting, 5 FPS. But still, there were all of those issues. The container's not opening for the anti-air codes or whatever.
I think that was the
shut those down.
biggest. That was the biggest issue, I think, to people not completing it this time.
Yeah, and that's one of those things. Like, I want to know, is an issue like that actually connected to server health, or is that just a bug? You know,
Right. And some of the lieutenants that you have to take out on each of the platforms was falling through geometry where you couldn't actually take them out and progress to the next platform. So that was stopping some people from progressing too.
Yeah, and what causes that? I don't know.
Yeah, I think, well, we know the bunkers in the live build have been having issues with people or NPCs falling through geometry. So probably the same issue is probably related, but since they weren't able to fix it in the bunkers, it just, happened to affect Siege of Orison also.
Yeah. I know some people were able to successfully complete the event, though, right? There were some success stories out there. And I feel for the team that's been working on Siege, because they're working hard, and it's still just it's not quite there. So
overall, it's really fun, like the intensity of the fights and trying to get to the last platform, and you're limping your way there and having to figure out what certain healing drugs you need to stop yourself from limping, or like being able to raise your weapon. That's all really fun, and the event itself is, like I said, I enjoy it, but they just have to tighten it up a little bit.
Yeah, that's the thing. The time where we tried and the container didn't open, we ran into that bug. That was definitely one of those sessions where you could feel the adrenaline and almost like the slight sense of desperation to make it through the end, because you're beat up, right? You've got a torso injury or a head injury or whatever. Your character's limping alone, and you still have more to go. Like, that part of it is a lot of fun, and getting able to experience that is really enjoyable. It sucks when you eventually kind of hit whatever brick wall it is that you hit with the event.
Yeah.
But it's an alpha, right? So they'll keep working on it, and it'll get fixed someday.
Soon,
TM. But yeah, so that was the Siege of Orison experience. They also recently ran Jumptown. Did you mess around with Jumptown at all this most recent go around?
No, I watched some content creators play it, but I didn't hop in myself at all. I don't really have enough people in our play group to do much with Jumpdown. So we did go collect maize that one night and try and sell it for an extra profit from like ERTs, but Jumpdown itself, I didn't participate.
Yeah. I didn't mess with it this time around either. But speaking of Siege of Orison, though, and 322, at the time of recording, apparently on the EPTU, they're going to be running Siege of Orison for an hour tonight. So if it didn't go super well on the live servers, we'll see what the reports are like for the EPTU tonight.
Godspeed, testers.
So, but hey, also with 322 in mind, let's go ahead and figure out where those cloud updates are.
What where are they? I'm pretty sure
about them.
I'm pretty sure in like CitizenCon they were like, that was the first thing they said about 322 was, hey, these volumetric cloud and fog updates are coming in 322.
It's still nothing on the roadmap for them.
Yeah. So, I mean, we still have a few weeks before the patch is out, so maybe they'll slip it in there. At this point, I'm feeling like it's going to be a 0.1 patch where they add it in, maybe.
Yeah, that could be the case where they come in, say, sometime in January versus the initial live release. I'm
not really, it is what it is, but it was just, I just think it's funny. They like, this is coming in 322 before like any other thing they had talked about coming in 322.
They led with.
Yeah, but it's not there, but I'm sure it'll get there eventually.
Speaking of getting there eventually, structural salvage is in 322, right? But maybe one of the more controversial things in the game here lately. We'll touch on that here in just a moment. But included with patch notes for structural salvage, we've got that the buffer storage added to the Vulture and Reclaimer. The Reclaimer can make up to 16 SCU size boxes. Disintegration mode has been implemented. But there's been a lot of chatter in the community, a lot of people a little upset with CIG over this initial implementation of structural salvage, essentially just being more beam gameplay.
Yep.
I don't have either a Vulture or a Reclaimer. I'm sure at some point I will encounter structural salvage in the game, but again, I'm more combat oriented. But I do understand how people are a little irked by this, a little annoyed, because it is starting to feel like anytime a new gameplay loop is added, it's just going to be another beam at this rate. But CIG have responded to some of the thoughts, concerns, feedback that's been given, and essentially what was said was, "Hey, we wanted to get some form of this in the game to you by Christmas for you to enjoy and test out, but by no means is this, the finished product. Like, we are going to continue to work on this and add complexity to the system. But yeah, as of right now, you're shooting a beam in 322 for your structural salvage."
Not even really shooting, I don't think. It's almost just like a charging effect that kind of the beam like lights up and get some cool visual effects on the whole of the ship that you're breaking apart, and then it kind of breaks apart. Yep. They did add the a little bit of skill check where there's like an optimal range for the disintegration, and I guess that's what they're calling it instead of munching now, is the disintegration. So there's a little bit of skill check there, but not much.
Yeah. Is that optimal range? Is that relation from the salvaging ship to the ship that's being salvaged, like the distance?
Right. Yeah. So
gotcha.
Right now it doesn't really, with just the hull scraping, you have that optimal range, but as far as I'm aware, it didn't really matter. It didn't like increase the amount of materials that you got. But I think now, if you're in that optimal range, it makes it quicker and it'll give you more material.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, so it's not just totally brain dead. Like, it was just hold left click. And they did add that little skill check, but like you just said, they did respond to it, and they have talked about this is just the first iteration, which, a little bit of a broken record at this point, but I'm not upset about it, because if you think about it, how else could munching have worked with our current game physics? Like, you can barely put a vehicle on an elevator and like make the elevator go up and down right now. Do you think like a claw coming out of the Reclaimer and physically clamping onto a busted like hammerhead isn't just going to send it into a crazy like spasm and freak out and blow up both of the ships?
Right.
So in that respect, like I don't think with the current physics that could have actually happened, which I think is what a lot of people expected. So I can see where they're coming from being upset.
Yeah, and it's just a bit of a meme at this point, right? The beam meme.
Yeah.
So yeah, I even threw up on my Twitter at the real Stubb, THA. Just a joke about whenever we finally get the new bounty hunter updates, that we'll use our new non-lethal beam to incapacitate somebody, then we'll use another beam to carry them into the cargo pod, and how exciting, more beams, right? But
Yeah.
they'll keep working on it.
Even if I don't know, it's beam gameplay, but it's something new. It's something for people to do over the holidays while we wait on the Q1 patch. And they're getting our feedback from it, what we like, what we don't like. So
Yeah,
hopefully they take that and implement it.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way that they haven't heard loud and clear that a good sized portion of the player base isn't exactly thrilled with the first iteration here.
Yeah, like you said, a little controversial, and some people are upset, but I say it's, just I'm glad that it's in some capacity. I didn't expect to see it for another year after we saw it on ISC a few months back. So
right,
the fact that it's even in the game in any capacity is good to me. But yeah, hopefully they work on it more, and we know they're going to work on it more. So until we see what the final version of it is, then we can really complain if we don't like it.
Yeah, and keep in mind the path of mining, right? The mining development, what's still being iterated on, but mining today in the game looks a lot different than it did when it was first initially put in, right? They've received update after update. Feels like, especially as somebody waiting on the bounty hunter gameplay, that they keep seeing talk about new mining features being added over the years. So it's not like they're just going to throw in this part of salvaging and never touch it again. And already we're seeing the earliest bits of them continuing to update it. So
yeah,
and it's not even on live yet, right? So we're still in EPTU. So
right, yeah, anything on PTU is subject to change. So
yeah,
we'll just see what happens.
Assume that it's going to continue to be fairly basic for the rest of the year, but they're not quite done with it yet. All the same for the year,
right?
They're also putting in additional derelict settlements, 15 of them actually. Which did they give us that number before? Like, we knew that there were going to be new settlements, but did we know that it was going to be 15?
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah,
they showed off.
That's awesome.
You remember they showed off the oil rig and the settlement on Microtech. I think it's CitizenCon.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, it's just going to be those two. And then I read the patch notes. It's like 15. I was like, what the? So that was a good surprise for me. I love exploration gameplay, even if it is like you kind of make it up at this point.
Right.
But just going to see like these new settlements with the new assets and stuff, I'm looking forward to that.
It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, I've watched some people check them out, and they look pretty cool.
Yeah, so there's, like we said, there's 15 of them. They're going to have mission gameplay, social elements, and shops. They're going to be spread throughout Hurston and Microtech. Only some of the settlements, though, are located on the star map, and neutral NPCs are from the Dusters faction at these derelict settlements. So I like that some of them are not on the star map too, because that also adds to that exploration gameplay, where either you head out in the direction and you try to be the one to discover them, or once people do figure out these locations, then they show you how to get there. It's fun following those guides too.
Yeah,
right?
there's already I think it's called Verse Guide.
Yeah.
But there's already some coordinates to most of these places, and I'm not sure if they said some of them won't be on the star map, but you'll be able to pick up missions that send you there.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's for all 15 or not, and some of them might just be discoverable through nothing else but flying.
Right.
I wouldn't think so. If they put all the time into these settlements, they're going to send you there for something at some point. But yeah, I like the fact that not all of them are on the star map too.
Somewhat off topic here, but also slightly related. I wonder if all the sand caves ever got discovered by players.
Yeah, I've only ever been in like 2 of those.
Yeah.
And it
But
might have been the same one.
But remember, there was a moment there. I forget which update it was, but it was kind of similar to this, where we, instead of a bunch of new derelict settlements, we got a bunch of new caves, and people were trying to go and find and discover them. Right? We even did a little bit of that ourselves. So I just wonder if they ever got discovered properly.
Yeah,
But anyway,
I forget how many they put in, but it was a decent amount of them. So yeah, I would
But
like to know too.
That's one of those things that I do like about this game, though, that when we get it, the opportunities for that sense of discovery, um, is a lot of fun. And we've had similar moments with like rivers added to the game as well. So all that to say, it's pretty cool that some of these derelicts are providing some more of that style of gameplay of like, oh, there's not just a marker on the map. I click here, set a route, and jump. Like we've got to find these
Yeah.
places.
Speaking of
So,
speaking of rivers and planets, we didn't have this in the outline, but I did see on the Pipeline Discord, through some sort of leak or somebody made a comment that they're targeting Q4 of next year for Planet Tech V5.
oh, okay.
Yeah, so don't know what that means, but updated Planet Tech possibly towards the end of next year, so that could be cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it could for sure. Um, maybe whatever is in that new tech will help them more quickly build planets so that we can get some more systems coming online as the years continue to go by.
Yeah, we've heard about the tools making it quicker to do things for years, and the things aren't getting quicker, so I'm not holding my breath for that one.
Yeah. But all the same, though, if true, that does add to the sense of momentum that it still feels like CIG has going into 2024, and
Yeah.
makes it, if true, makes it more likely that it seems like next year is going to be a really banger year for CIG and Star Citizen.
I'm still holding out that it is.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Also in 322, bringing it back to this year, inventory update with openable cargo containers. 1, 2, 4, and 8 SCU containers are purchased through shops now. So,
yep, you can purchase them in a shop and drop them in your ship.
Come get your empty boxes, folks.
As many as you want. I've seen some people on Twitch doing this, and I've seen people like trying to fill up hangars with all the boxes, and yeah, I can see people maybe breaking some stuff when it first comes out, if it hasn't been broken already in PTU. But
hey, so it sounds like, if nothing else, this is going to be a great stress test for PES.
Yeah, it could be. I thought the openable cargo containers, the roadmap picture is very misleading. If you look at the like card on the roadmap for it, it has a container with the end of the like door on the container open, and there's objects placed inside the container. So I was under the impression that it was actually like containers you could physically open and like walk into. Which I mean that might still be added, but as of right now, I think it's just like different size empty boxes to store stuff in.
Yeah. I just pulled up that image you're talking about too from the roadmap. It's maybe a little misleading.
Yeah, because that's what I assumed it was. I thought it was like physically opening containers and being able to place stuff inside them, like at Siege of Orison when you find the keypadded containers or whatever.
Yeah.
But maybe they still are planning on adding that feature and they just haven't yet, but I don't know.
Yeah, at some point it'll be see, that's the thing with these lead ups to a new patch coming out, that's both part of the fun and sometimes part of the annoyance with the game is even when we're just mere weeks away from an update, sizable update hitting the game, we still don't quite know what's actually going to make it in.
Yeah. Because there are still some cards on the 322 that still aren't committed yet, but I guess we do have a few more weeks of, or at least another week or two of PTU anyway.
Yeah. So in addition to those new cargo containers, we also have a procedural FPS recoil and weapon balance. So they've added greater weapon variety, so consistent recoil patterns and the removal of ADS spread for weapons. So them adding greater weapon variety. So they talked about and showed changes coming to FPS weapons back during CitizenCon earlier this year, and they showed substantial changes that they've made, and so it sounds like that is making its way into 322. I would definitely, for anybody that's like really interested in the FPS gameplay of StarCitizen and you haven't checked out what they talked about coming to FPS gameplay, definitely go back and give it a watch. It's worthwhile. They also talked about they've adjusted player health, damage modifiers, and medical to increase time to kill in the game. So should take a few more shots at this point to take down another player. Which, I mean, how do you feel about the current time to kill in the game? Do you feel like it's too quick?
I feel like it can be,
Yeah.
especially with desync, because a lot of PvP encounters end in trades right now, I feel like. Because, an example, I was at Brio's last week, landed to clear the area for somebody to come in and sell, and there was a guy in the room, and I didn't start shooting at first. He shot at me first, but then I reacted, shot him. I thought he had killed me and gotten away. But I went into third person, and he was laying on the ground too. So it was a lot of, I feel like a lot of encounters end up in trades. So maybe the increased time to kill will mitigate that, or it still might end that way. I don't know. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm okay with them adding a little longer time to kill, especially with how cool the medical system is, and how I think they can go even further with it. But as it is right now, like other than Siege of Orison, I've never really experienced like tier 2 injuries, tier 1 injuries where I've actually been like concerned about like, oh, how am I going to get back to like a hospital, or how am I going to complete this mission without getting healed first?
Yeah.
So having more situations where a good medic is important, I'm all for. So if it means more medical gameplay and more chances to experience that, I think they should increase it.
Yeah, and also too, just if you think about the armor that we're wearing, like unless you're running around just in really light armor, if somebody's running around in the verse looking like Master Chief, I feel like it probably should take more than just a few shots to take them down. You know what I mean? Like the armor in this game looks so good, and it also looks really beefy, but it doesn't always feel that way when you're getting shot. A lot of the times it kind of feels like, well, I might as well have not been wearing any armor at all.
And I think they talked a lot about, not a lot, but they hinted on it at CitizenCon about changes coming to light, medium, and heavy armor, and kind of making them have different roles. So maybe with this increased time to kill and how they change how the armor is going to work, it'll work well together.
Yeah, and continuing on with the discussion involving weapon changes and armor, changes include balances to sniper rifles to avoid players in heavy armor being one shot when hit by a sniper rifle, while still allowing this to happen to players wearing medium or light armor.
Yeah, and I think that was if that wasn't the case before, they definitely needed to change it to that.
Yeah.
Because even if, I mean, maybe there's a certain like super sniper rifle that will one shot, someone with wearing a heavy armor.
Or if you happen to be in a situation to where it's super close range and you're hitting that headshot with the sniper, okay, sure. I could see a headshot being a one-shot kill when you're 10 feet away with a big-ass sniper,
Yeah, and if they're going to eventually make it to where, I think they've talked about this for years, where you can't wear heavy armor and while you're flying your ship. If they're going to make those, like, making the choice to wear heavy armor have that many implications, they need to make it protect you more. Like, they need to give you a significant reason to be wearing it over medium armor if you can't wear it even to fly with. So who knows when those changes will happen, but
Ooh, can I hit you with a little a random question regarding armor?
Yeah.
Have they talked about, to your knowledge, because I can't think of a time it's been brought up, have they talked about personal shields, like shields that are built into the armor to where you have to break through the shield Master Chief style and then the damage goes to the armor?
I don't think so.
Okay. Just curious.
I mean, we have concept art and lore about, like, I don't know if they call them Titan suits, but they look like the Titan suits. So maybe if any type of armor would have a shield, it would probably be those. But yeah, I don't think they've ever talked about like personal shields to my knowledge.
Could be interesting, or it could just end up feeling like Halo.
It probably would end up being like Halo. So
yeah, unless you had like different shield types. You know what I mean? Like some that are better at ballistics versus energy weapons.
I think they might do that with armor types though. Like not necessarily make it a shield, but make different armor types have better resistances to different types of weapons. Was how I would imagine them doing it.
Right. Yeah, and I don't know. It was just a random thought.
Yeah, I mean, it could be
one
cool,
more feature to increase the dev time, right?
Right. Yeah, 5 more years.
Yeah, but also potentially another layer of customization for how you want your gameplay experience to be. So, also they've included some force reaction updates as well. So I guess they've updated the different ways we can land on our bums, like if we get knocked down.
Yeah, I think they said less. You should be force reacted less now.
Okay, because I do feel like it in my recent Arena Commander sessions, since getting back into it, I've noticed it happens quite a bit getting knocked down. So, which hasn't been like a complaint of mine, but I do see why they would want to go back and tweak some things there.
Yeah, I don't know the exact changes, but I'm pretty sure in the patch notes they said you should be force reacted less. So we'll see.
Yeah. Up next is the player hair update. They look good. I've seen people post some screenshots. They look nice. Again, shout out to the hard work that was, and I mean that sincerely, done on the hair. It's just a bit of a running joke on this show now at this point, because so much time at CitizenCon was spent on it. But I digress. More hairstyles, 322. So if you're wanting to spend some time with the character customization options, you have more to play around with now.
They do look nice, for sure. Yeah. And I like the new Duster NPCs at the settlements are supposed to have some of the new hairstyles. And I would be excited if there were beards in this patch, but we're not there yet. But any addition to player customization is good, so they look good, and I'm sure we'll see more next year.
Once beards are in, are you going full beard?
I guess it depends on what type of beards they have.
Yeah.
So,
I want a nice Santa Claus beard, just pressed up against the inside of my helmet at all
just like
times.
filling the face of the helmet, like with your facial hair, like can barely see.
Yeah,
A
exactly.
nice braided Viking beard would be nice.
It would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Be a
Space Viking. Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh god! And then they add the beard oil and the beard combs, and you got to maintain your beard, otherwise you'll start to get dandruff. And
Nobody's gonna talk to you with a messy beard.
yep. Just one more, one more layer to the immersion. Yep, new hairstyles coming into 322. Also, a Minables balance. We talked about this a bit before we started to record. So, full disclaimer: I don't think either of us really know what the fuck they're talking about with this stuff. So, if you are someone into mining gameplay, let us know if you can explain that adjustment to scaling for ship mineable nodes to adjust mining to trend slightly closer to prospector difficulties. If you know what that means, please tell us, because I'm a little lost.
I think we have a decent. So I guess that means the mineable nodes were brought down to prospector difficulties if they're using the prospector as like a base difficulty for mining.
Yeah.
But I don't know if prospector mining is difficult or not, honestly, because I've done it like once and that was like 2 years ago. So couldn't tell you.
Yeah. Let us know. Adjustment to scaling for ship mineable nodes to adjust mining to trend slightly closer to prospector difficulties.
That's a mouthful.
Yes, it is. The Arena Commander multi-crew update.
This looks really cool.
Yes, it does. This is, again, one of my most excited for features of 322.
Have you had a chance to watch anybody play the new maps?
No, not yet.
Oh man, you should check it out. Well, here we'll talk about the new maps real quick.
Okay. So we've got Bloodshot Ridge, right? That's going to be a FPS and flight map, and also Maker's Point, which is going to only be an FPS map, and both are new settlements in the PU.
Yeah, so those new settlements they dropped in the PU. They're using 2 of them for the new Arena Commander maps, and from what I've seen, the Bloodshot Ridge, when you spawn in, you're on foot and have to get in your vehicle.
Okay.
I think I'm pretty sure that's how it works. I could just be imagining that, but I've watched a few people play the PTU past couple of days here and there, and I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Is you spawn in, your ship's on the ground, and you and your team, however you set it up, go get in the vehicle.
Yeah. So that's Theaters of War Tier 0, right?
Kind of. I don't know what it means by FPS/flight map. Like I don't know if you can actually shoot people before getting in your vehicles. I haven't had a chance to test it out yet, so I'm really curious as to how that works. So I'm definitely wanting to try that out as soon as possible.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll both be playing some 322 PTU, but just not yet. But we'll check it out. Because anytime they're adding something major like that to Arena Commander, I'm going to be there for it. Updating all maps to utilize a new spawn location system for spawn selection. This update enables the long-awaited introduction of multi-crew to squadron battle, team tank battle, free flight, and swarm modes, and expands them all to include a large variety of our crewable ships. That's an interesting point. It expands them all to include a large variety of our crewable ships. So last time we talked about multi-crew, we were thinking it was going to be a fairly small pool of ships, but at least according to this, It's a large variety. Now that's undefined, what they mean by that specifically, but they are saying large.
I think the reason we believed that was I was under the impression when the multi-crew came into Arena Commander, it would also come with the first test of engineering.
Right.
So I thought they would only have ships that are ready for engineering gameplay available. But in these patch notes and from what I've seen people playing, I don't think there's any engineering gameplay implemented yet. I think they're just testing the purely just getting into ships with other people inside of Arena Commander.
Right. Yeah, no, if engineering was there, Twitter and Spectrum would have blown up. Yeah.
Yeah. So
we would have heard about it.
Yeah, I thought it would only be like the Hercules series or something, and you would have to do engineering and all that stuff, but obviously that's not ready yet. But I think this is a good step towards getting, hopefully maybe they'll test engineering in the Arena Commander first.
I almost feel like they said that was going to be the case. Maybe when they were first talking about the experimental modes.
I'm gonna have to go back and look because, like I said, we were a little confused on whether multi-crew included engineering. So I don't know if I just assumed the multi-crew was also engineering when they talked about it. So I'll have to go back and clarify that. But it would be cool if they did test engineering in this mode before rolling it out to all ships or something.
Yeah, would be. And we'll see engineering soon, right? But not necessarily right now. Players have the ability to enable multi-crew spawning on their selecting ships, and other players in the match and on your team will have the ability to select turret and crew positions. Turret and crew.
Yeah, so I don't know if that means co-pilots, missile operators, or maybe that's maybe that's dialogue leading towards engineering. I don't know.
They've also got the in-game vehicle selection that you can switch vehicles between respawns and dogfighting modes, which is nice. And the new slot system lets you customize 4 vehicle slots.
That's a pretty nice update because, before you had to go in there and, kit out one ship, and then for the entirety of the match, you were stuck with that ship. But now it seems like you can customize 4, and then throughout any respawn in a match, choose between those 4 vehicles. So,
yeah, I like that change a lot.
Yeah, that's nice.
And that's pretty much it for new features being added. Still not committed on the roadmap. We've got the Santaki I and the Origin X1 as well. So those are not part of the EPTU testing at this point in time, but fingers crossed that they make their way in time for 322 when it goes live.
That would be nice. I have a feeling they're going to be in that 322.1 patch, maybe like early of next year. But yeah, fingers crossed. But I don't own either one of those, and I'm not a big fan of the hover vehicles, honestly. I don't know how you feel about them, but every time I get on one, it's fun for like 5 minutes, and then I explode. So
that's pretty much been my experience for the most part too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I also wanted to mention just the, every week on robertspaceindustries.com, they throw up the This Week in StarCitizen article on Mondays. So I wanted to head over there and talk a little bit about what they had for us this week. So they mention that, IAE is over, but we've got our next event, Luminalia, coming next week. And then they also talked a little bit about additional YouTube content coming from CitizenCon. You can now experience the full day one of CitizenCon 2953 as it was broadcasted in a 5.5 hour long video. So that is up. And then day two is going to be published on Friday. They also included a sign up link for the Daymar rally. That's going to be happening, I believe, in January?
Yeah, signups end on the 10th of December. So if you're planning on running the Daymar and have not signed up yet, your time is running out.
Yep. Do it now and don't get banned. So, and then they talked a little bit more about all the drinking on the job they've been doing at the Bar Citizens. But let's see. On Tuesday, they had some subscriber stuff going on with a newsletter and a December subscriber CommLink, as well as a subscriber program update. Thursday, that's going to have a structural salvage inside Star Citizen episode. So we can check out those beams. And I'm curious if Jared's going to make a joke about it. We'll see.
Probably. He's usually pretty on the nose about stuff.
Right. Yeah. So I'm, looking forward to checking that out. And then they're also going to be posting a Q&A for the RSI Arestra, that new mining ship from RSI that was recently revealed. And then Friday, wrapping up the week with a patch watch and the weekly newsletter. Also wanted to mention too, the Arena Commander experimental mode schedule, because I've really have been enjoying experimental modes. From December 3rd to December 10th, we're going to have the single weapon elimination with the railgun and mirror match available. And then from December 10th to the 17th, gun rush and tank royale will be back. So hope to see some of you in Arena Commander.
I want to play some more of those tank battles. Those were pretty fun.
Yeah, they are. It's a neat mode. And I enjoyed Gun Rush as well. I had a lot of fun with that too, and did not encounter with the time I spent with it. I did not encounter that bug where the gun wouldn't fire, like I was bumping into with single weapon elimination.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So weapons seem to be working just fine in Gun Rush, which was
okay.
Really nice. Yeah.
I haven't seen that issue listed in the known issues in any of the patch notes, which I find kind of weird. I haven't been reading all the known issues the past week or so. I've just been kind of skimming through them, but I don't think I've seen it on there. So hopefully that's something they have to know about it, right? So hopefully it's fixed in 322, but I haven't seen anything in the notes about it.
Yeah. And, just by chance, if somebody's been bumping into that bug and it's been bothering you, understandably, I did read, I've not tried it out because I've not run into it since, but I did read that if you switch to your med pin real quick and then switch back, your gun will fire. But obviously that is not always super convenient to do in the middle of a gunfight.
Yeah. There's usually some sort of weird workaround for a lot of the problems in Star Citizen, so glad that works.
And then in CommLink news, easy for me to say, just wanted to point out that another reaction video has gone up featuring the Squadron 42 archives. So our reaction video to Andy Serkis this time around, behind the scenes with Squadron 42, is up on the YouTube channel. So make sure to check that out if you have not already. We've got a decent variety of other reaction videos also up on the YouTube channel for your entertainment, if you so choose to check those out, including one with Mark Hamill on Squadron 42. And then we also did some of the panels at CitizenCon as well. So lots of fun stuff to check out on YouTube. We're also on Spotify. So if you are listening on YouTube, but also like to enjoy podcasts elsewhere, CommLink is on Spotify as well. Wanted to mention that. And our socials on Instagram and X at CommLink Pod on both of those platforms as well. As always, if you've enjoyed this week's episode, make sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell button so you get notifications for when the next episode of the CommLink Podcast goes live. And as always, Silvius, I had a great time talking about StarCitizen with you today and 322, all the different things that we have to look forward to. It's been a good time.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to 322. I think it's going to be hopefully one of the best end of the year patches we've seen in a while. Hopefully it's very playable and minimal bugs. So looking forward to that. And next week we have our first guest on the show.
Oh, he said it.
Yep. So tune in next week. Should have a guest here. It's hopefully going to be a good one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Pretty excited about it. When we were first really kind of still planning out what the CommLink Podcast was, one of the things that we knew we wanted to do was to have a guest on the show. So, and it's starting to happen, which is really exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited about it because that's definitely one thing we wanted to include in this podcast was other content creators and hopefully some, just people from the community in general. So next week should be our first episode getting there.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. So make sure to stop by next week for more CommLink. In the meantime, everybody out there, if you are in the EPTU, have a great time. Let us know in the comments below your experience with 322 so far. Let us know what you think about those new hairstyles. How you enjoying that player customization? You liking it? I hope so. And yeah, see ya. Be safe. Take care. And be nice to somebody.
See you next time.